Welcome, beautiful people, to Curating Black Thoughts podcast. This is a safe space for Black folks from all walks of life to discuss the difficult conversations. Here, we're not trying to agree or disagree per se, but we are trying to communicate our differences, our similarities, and our common goals so we can get to a better understanding and we can start supporting each other, y'all. Thank you for joining the Love Village. I'm your host, Quincy J. Roberts Sr., and you have just been queued up.
Yeah. Always show improve, never regress, always improve. Going up, raising the turbulence, fly as a satellite, high as the moon. Blowing up, sorta like terrorists, drawing our weapons out like a cartoon. A rebel like Marley, I'm robbing like Hood, taking the riches right back to my hood. Always show improve, never regress, always improve. Going up, raising the turbulence, fly as a satellite, high as the moon. Blowing up, sorta like terrorists, drawing our weapons out like a cartoon. A rebel like Marley, I'm robbing like Hood, taking the riches right back to my hood. I know these people been up to no good, ain't heard of us, why I'm thinking you should. Curry, I'm clutch so they know when it's good. Bury the opposition where they stood. Flurries, I'm punching like hitting the clock. Circle them once to kick it up a notch. This is when backpack rap me Snapchat. Wake 'em up, I'ma jerk 'em off the knapsack. Who the best, ain't no reason you should ask that. When the rest of these rappers need practice, I'm a pro implementing these tactics. Eat the whole spread, they ain't getting no ration. Run up a check, then I go and invest. We flipping like acrobatics over nets. Don't care who got next, you looking at now. When you see the crowd, then you should just bow. Shooting my shots since they talking foul. 3 hots in the cot, I'm locking them down. Stop, I think not, might as well take it higher. Hope you know there's no way that I'm coming down. Shooting my shots since they talking foul. 3 hots in the cot, I'm locking them down. Stop, I think not, might as well take it higher. Hope you know there's no way that I'm coming down. Always show improve, never regress, always improve. Going up, raising the turbulence, fly as a satellite, high as the moon. Blowing up, sorta like terrorists, drawing our weapons out like a cartoon. A rebel like Marley, I'm robbing like Hood, taking the riches right back to my hood. Always show improve, never regress, always improve. Going up, raising the turbulence, fly as a satellite, high as the moon. Blowing up, sorta like terrorists, drawing our weapons out like a cartoon. A rebel like Marley, I'm robbing like Hood, taking the riches right back to my hood.
Welcome, Love Village, to the episode I like to call Black Trump Supporters. What's good? Now, a record number of Americans took advantage of early voting, 93.5 million as we are talking to you right now. And on today, which should be election day if I upload this in time, should be election day, on this episode of Curating Black Thoughts, another record is being set as we speak. So, as I said, it's election day 2020, and no matter who wins, history is being made. I said I wasn't gonna really talk about elections. Everybody knows that this podcast is kind of my outlet because I work in politics as 9 to 5 for the last 8 years. So this podcast has been my outlet from politics and talking about politics daily. So people are really shocked that I'm having this, but since this is election night and I'm still in homecoming mode, I want to challenge myself. I really, really wanted to challenge myself. And I couldn't think of a better way to challenge myself than to sit down with a fellow Falcon that some people think I hate. Some people really think I hate this next individual. But we're going to talk it out because that's one of the main reasons why I started this podcast, is to not necessarily agree with someone or disagree with someone, but to get to a better understanding. So that's what we're going to do. But before we do this, I do want to burn my sage because this is going to be a difficult conversation for me. And it might be a difficult conversation for some Black folks to listen to. Because as I said, this episode is called Black Trump Supporters. What's good, y'all? What's good? All right. I'm just joking. This is my man. So I would like to introduce to you fellow St. Augustine's Falcon. I went to school with this brother, Mr. Edward Jackson. Come on down to the Love Village and introduce yourself, brother.
Well, hello. What's up, Quincy? I'm Edward Jackson. Of course, like you said, we went to St. Aug together, you know, and I am an independent Trump supporter.
Okay.
So let's get it on. Let's get
All
it on.
right, let's get right into the conversation. So
Yeah.
before we kind of get into the political realm, I really wanted to paint a picture. I want to let the audience know and the listeners know who you are as a person, as a human being, because I know when most people think of a Trump supporter, they say delusional. That's the first word that comes up. So let's talk about Edward Jackson as a human being. Who are you? If you had to do your elevator pitch without politics, who is
Right.
Ed?
It was Ed. Ed is a simple guy, like musician, do everything I can, love working with my hands, you know, but I'm also a thinker, a free thinker, so religion wise, I was raised Christian, Baptist, as you can see right behind me. um, it's not really it's not really much to me other than, what I'm saying, just a person that's going to go to work, get it done, and live his life, you know, to the fullest. And that's pretty much it, you know.
I'm sure more about Ed will come out in this conversation. You're being very humble and I'm just a regular man. Let's see. Let's see.
Yeah. Now,
So when did Edward get into politics? When did you start to understand politics? Because there's a moment for every individual where they said, oh, this is how politics work. And for me, it happened at the AUG actually in 2004 when my former boss, actually, John Edwards and John Kerry was running for president.
the
So that's
president.
actually how I came to Boston. And that's the moment where I fell in love with politics and I figured out how important just politics was to our day-to-day lives. So when did Ed know when politics was important? When did you start to understand politics?
Believe it or not, elementary school.
Okay.
Elementary school. Um, I was in student government, and I ran for vice president in the fifth grade. Technically it's supposed to be like sixth graders, quote unquote, who runs for that type of position, but I chose to do it. And my sister, who, was always very encouraging, she showed me the game of politics. She was like, look, you just need to win over the people or the kids. So I told the girls in my speech that I was going to talk to staff and administration, that we're going to get a cheerleader squad together. And I told the guys that we're going to get a basketball team together. And I won by a landslide. That's the game of politics. And I learned that early on. Now, when I've learned as far as it being important, as far as my life, I would say Al Gore and Bush.
Mm.
That's when I really kind of like, hold up, this this is a whole totally different game. That it's a whole,
And
it's
what was
like
special
chess.
about that particular election?
What was special about that one?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
You.
what was special about that election was the fact that that's when I realized that popular vote didn't technically determine who was the president, because we
Mm.
clearly saw Al Gore win this election and somebody else was celebrating. That's when I started digging deeper into it.
Who did you
So
support for that election?
naturally it was Al Gore. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the inner city. So I was Democrat just by circumstance. I was a Democrat, and that's all I knew. I knew that Republican was bad, Democrat was good.
Mm-hmm.
So it was obviously Al Gore who was the best person for me. And thinking back on it, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew. that Al Gore was my person because I'm a Democrat.
Yeah.
He's a
And
Democrat.
you brought up a good point, which I talked to a lot of my family down south about. When it comes to religion and politics, it's kind of parallel. People are Christians because their mothers are Christian, and their mothers are Christians because their mothers are Christian, and so on and so on. And when you really ask people why they're Christians, I know when I do, this is why I don't talk about religion often. People get upset with me. What do you mean? I meant exactly what I asked. Like, why? What made you become a Christian?
Right.
So
No,
I'm
it's a
gonna
legitimate
change.
question.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's a legitimate question. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to like go into that, lean more into that. You say you were Democrat by nature. You grew up in the city, DC. Your parents were Democrats.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Mom was
Everybody around you. At what point? Because we have the Gore Bush election. We see what happened to Gore. We start to understand that the Electoral College is a motherfucker.
Right.
So, and we're adults at that time because we're both of you and I are the same age. So we're adults. We're young adults at this time. So we got critical thinking minds, and we're trying to, I guess, wrap our minds around stuff that we were taught and trying to be untaught, and learn this new normal.
Being reprogrammed.
So for you, because I know the moment I turned into an independent, and hello everybody, yes, I am an independent.
Likewise.
But for you, I'm not a Trump supporter, but what was the change for you to go from a Democrat, lifelong Democrat, parents Democrat, family Democrat, inner city, looking at what's going on in inner city DC? What was the change for you? What was the first Republican that interest you, made you say, you know what, maybe let me go over here for this person?
Well, no Republicans have actually made me feel that way. Up until now, Trump, and Trump technically is not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. He is a chameleon.
Okay.
And he doesn't really fit into any one of their narratives, and that's why we see so much negative 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 news about him, basically. We'll edit that out, but anyway, so it was never really a Republican that actually did it. It was more so the Democrats revealing themselves to me as I became more of a critical thinker. 2008, you couldn't tell me nothing about Obama. Obama was my guy. Okay. At 12:01, when he won that election, I was at 7-Eleven getting the early edition. And me and my girlfriend at the time, we had already went to Michael's art store, got our frames, borders, all that was ready to put this newspaper on the wall by 12:10. You know what I'm saying? So he couldn't tell me nothing about it. And then I was revealed to see everything is not always what it seems to be. Everything that.
Tell me more about that. What do you mean by that? You're speaking in code. Talk to me. What does that mean? Because I'm trying to wrap my mind around, and as I said in the beginning, I'm doing this for understanding. How does a person that Obama, huge Obama support, like you said, 12:01, you were at 7-Eleven, you trying to get changed. I had a shower curtain, bro. I still got that shower curtain with his face on it. How do you go from Obama, the first Black president, to seeing eye to eye with someone who's the polar opposite in personality wise?
Mm-hmm.
How do you go from that? Where's the change? Did you actually vote for Trump, or is this a recent love? Or at least...
Well, when Trump, when he ran for president, I was intrigued. I wasn't a supporter, I was just intrigued because I was tired of the games. And that answers your question as far as Obama just didn't do it for me. He painted this picture. He was in the churches and all that doing campaigning, and then it was just like nothing, no more. It was just no love from him.
Yeah,
and it was no love from him, and that's just my perspective. But I mean, it was just no love from him, and that's when I had to realize that I'm blindly being affiliated with a party that might not be the best thing for me. And that's how I became independent, because now I'm like, I don't need to be a part of any party, because I need to see who's going to do what for my people and what's going to be the best interest for me. And that would make, for that to happen, I need to step back. I don't need to be, rah, rah, rah for them or them. And I need to see what's happening. And that's what I think what Ice Cube is doing. And a lot of people don't see that. And that's why he gets so much backlash about that.
So let's before we get into the celebrities, because I wanted to make sure that we highlight just everyday people that we work with before, because I don't put a lot of stock into what celebrities say, because I don't get my political information from them. It's like going to a rapper for like some type of health issue, like you got cancer and you go to Lil Wayne. It's like, nah, you're probably gonna die. So I don't put too much stock in them. But what you were saying sounds very similar to most Black people that are into politics. How they sounded around 2012, including myself. However, and this is a huge however, how do you go from, because I'm still trying to get to, how do you go from a person that gave us a little bit, he gave us a little bit, he could have did a whole lot more. And I can tell you, I can share with you the defining moment for me, when I wasn't an Obama fan. I still respected him as the president. I would have campaigned for him if asked again for the second go round. All that stuff was good. I respect his wife, his family. I thought they were, he was doing what typical presidents do. But where he lost me, what he lost me was Trayvon Martin. That changed it all for me.
Me too.
Because, I mean, yes, we needed somebody to talk to us, calm us down, tell us it's going to be okay.
It was very heartless.
Yes, but what he did, that crying, that could have been my son. I get it. That could have been his son, but that was it. That
was somebody's son.
I wanted Obama to like flex, because at this point he was going into his second term. He had nothing to lose. So that's where I lost a little respect for him. And I started to think about what's next, because we cannot continue to have lip service from a Black person or a female, a LGBT person. I don't want any tokens. I want someone to go in there and change history, and really change history, no matter what their identifiers are. But
I think that's what a lot of people miss, and that's why a lot of people get turned off when a person says that about Obama. Like if I say, I'm not really feeling Obama because he didn't say enough, and people are going to respond like, well, what do he need to do? What could he done? And it's not really just his response there, because Obama flexed when the journalist was beheaded, quote unquote, beheaded somewhere in Arabia or wherever they was by Al Qaeda. Oh, he flexed. He meant business. So where was that Obama when Trayvon Martin got killed for, walking with a bag of Skittles? So
you're right.
He didn't flex. He didn't flex.
But this is where the but in the however comes.
Right.
You have and this is where me and you go.
Right. There it comes.
Trump. How do you take a person? And trust me, I got a bunch of questions. They're pretty much similar, but let's just start here.
Yeah.
Do you think Trump deserves, and this is just a yes or no question. Do you think Trump deserves 4 more years?
Yes.
Okay. You you sold on
yes or no?
Yeah, that's a yes or no.
Okay.
Okay. So now let's get into the meat and the potatoes. Because I highly disagree with you. What are some of the great things that Trump has directly done for your life?
For my life?
Your life directly.
Directly?
Edward Jackson. What changed from 4 years ago when Edward was considering and intrigued by Trump to now where Edward may vote for Trump? I don't know if he voted yet, but he very well may vote for Trump today. How did we get here? What did Trump do between 4 years ago and today, which is election day, if I upload this in time?
Exactly. He kept his word like no candidate I've ever seen.
Give me some examples.
Examples of he said he was going to take care of HBCUs. He did. He didn't have to.
But how did he take care of HBCUs? Like, what specifically did he do to? Because a lot of people say, and I talk to a lot of Trump supporters. Believe it or not, I have probably an even split of Trump, Biden, and everything in between. But most Trump supporters always say that he's done a lot for the Black community and HBCUs. I'm like, what? I'm still trying to figure out what exactly.
As far as what he can do, I'm not saying that he came on his flying magic carpet, and waved his wand and made every building in HBCUs beautiful and luxury. No, but he actually took the time. He made HBCUs funding a priority. It's not something that's going to be crunched in numbers every January or whatever times they put the budget together and have to crunch the numbers. The president sends in a package of how he sees the budget, and then they rip it apart and put it together. And HBCUs don't even have to play that part. We're set aside. We're a priority, and that says a lot, considering from what people will quote unquote say is a racist.
So think of it this way. So, and I'm gonna bring Biden and Harris in, but I want to just off the comment you just said. So you don't think that a HBCU graduate like Vice President elect? You see, I'm going ahead and predicting it. Vice President elect Harris. You don't think she would do more than anybody in Trump's campaign when it comes to HBCUs?
Hey, I thought the first Black president would have been the most.
But he didn't go to an HBCU though.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, he didn't have to go to an HBCU, but he played the role as being the first Black president.
Yeah.
He played that role and didn't relinquish any Blackness as far as that. So it doesn't matter if he went to HBCU or not. He knows that it's important.
But we can't come to a middle ground that an HBCU alum, like currently, and we'll take Obama out of the equation because he's not running for president right. But you have Donald Trump, and then you have Joe Biden. And that's how and when people always laugh at me because I say, President Harris, because I'm not a Joe Biden fan.
Right.
Like I think Joe Biden has done a lot of good. I think he has evolved. So if you're going to use his crime bill, at any point in this conversation, I'm going to go ahead and shut that down because everybody supported that. Everybody supported that crime bill. So that's like when people use that, I'm like, we can't use that because everybody supported that crime bill. Everybody.
Well, it wasn't really the crime bill that was the problem. It was the execution of it. It wasn't that. I mean, most Black communities want more police presence. I mean, growing up in the inner city in a quote unquote red zone,
exactly.
I
killing
I
people.
wanted to see the police. I wanted to see the
Crack
police.
was real.
Yes.
Crack was real. It was a
Yes.
real thing. So
I
I never
wanted to
want.
see the police.
But back to how you are viewing Trump, because I'm very intrigued by your thought process. I don't agree with it, but again, we're not here to agree or disagree. I'm
Right.
very
No.
intrigued by it.
To
How do you see it?
answer your question, I can't base it on just because she went to a HBCU doesn't mean that she's necessarily going to care for the HBCU. It doesn't mean that she's going to be. That's basically putting your politics in the realm of hope. And somebody already sold me hope.
Somebody, isn't that what politics is, though? At the end of the day,
hey, now we're saying it's not that anymore. It's word, and that's why I'm 2020 might be 2020 is actually the first time I voted since 2008 with Obama.
So you and I was going to get into that, but you answered the question. So you did not vote for Hillary?
Hell no.
She wasn't your candidate. Okay. I didn't vote for Hillary either. I actually wrote my son in, and the reason why is because I live in Massachusetts. But if I lived in North Carolina, absolutely, I would have voted for Hillary.
And I didn't know
or
enough
South Carolina or anywhere else, I would have voted for Hillary. Not playing games. I was just using my privilege here in New England and being funny and putting not being funny, actually feeling the way I was feeling. I didn't feel like voting for her, so I voted for myself. Real simple.
A no vote or a write-in is you exercising your right. It's exercising your right, because I didn't know enough about Trump. Like, I knew Trump from Home Alone 2. I knew Trump from
The Apprentice.
The Apprentice, and I love that show. And that's when I really, kind of got a little bit more intel on Trump. Was from The Apprentice. So, that's what made me intrigued when he ran, but it wasn't enough for me to give him a vote. It wasn't enough.
But now it is.
Now it is. Now it is.
Let's get into that. Let's get into that, because this 4 years has been very complex for your man Trump. He started his tenure grabbing women by the pussies. So, he got that. He started. That's how he started. He also started with the highest scandal of any president. Nixon, it took him a while to get there, but pretty much everybody that worked for Trump got charges on. That's that. And these are facts. These are not like me just making shit up. I'm just reading the facts. He has, out of 10 of his immediate staffers, advisors, 8 of them have federal charges. He also hired his daughter,
right?
And that's not illegal, but what president has done that? And I'm thinking, hey, if your daughter's the right person for the job, flex on it. But Jared Kushner has no experience in any of the things he's in, so that just looks weird to me. All right. So then we have, the wall that is not built. We have.
There's about 400 miles of wall built, but
No, it is not the wall that he said it was going to be. It's not the wall that his supporters, his original supporters, police brutality, not blaming that on him. But what I am putting on him and Obama, because it started in Obama's tenure, because, a black man in the White House ignites racism. The police brutality got real. It didn't start with Obama, but we started to see it. Now we see it even more. We don't see any consequences. We don't see President Trump talking about it at all. Like, he won't even mention it. Obama, at least, would give you that hope. He didn't do a lot around it.
He gave you
at least he made you feel good while we were going through the pain. Trump, and this is from my lens, Trump makes the trauma even worse, because he's not giving us hope. He's not being presidential. And what I mean by presidential, you have to bring, like you said, you're independent. You have to bring both parties together and meet somewhere in the middle, or this country will never get to where it is. So, with all that being said, with him going through all these scandals, these federal charges, some are sticking, some are not. And don't get me wrong, everybody's hands is dirty. Everybody's hands is dirty. It's everybody. But with all this going on, why would you support him even more now? Like, how did you get to supporting him now? Like, as a Black man living in Washington, D.C., growing up in an urban neighborhood, going to a historically Black college. How did you get to voting for Trump today? How did that happen?
Because I seen what politics was, you know. So I seen that politics was more so just about an image, presenting an image, an identity, and people.
So Trump's not sending an image.
Trump is sending a direct message.
Of divisiveness, correct?
No. When he says "Make America Great Again," he's not talking about one type of people. You know, everything is related to racism, but that statement is not about race. That statement is about economy. That's really
exactly. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because a lot of my Trump supporters who are Black, they keep talking about the wealth, and I'm not disrespecting any Trump supporter, but at the same time, they don't have the wealth that Trump has, and or allegedly has, because that's in question as well. Show your taxes, brother. But they talk as if they're billionaires, and these people are not even thousandaires. So you can dream. You can dream, but that dream ain't for you. That dream, his dream ain't for you.
It absolutely is. That's what it is. That dream was before me and you. Our ancestors.
How is that dream? How is Trump's dream of making rich people richer, taxing the poor?
Everybody can eat under Trump. When people say the tax cuts, and people always give half truths.
Okay.
So yes. So did the rich get their most tax break ever? Yes. But yes. Were they the most? Did they get the most break in the tax breaks? No, they did not. Middle class actually did. It was 14.4 for the rich, and it was 14.5 for middle class, 12.7 for technically quote unquote the poor. So they didn't receive as much as the middle class, and the middle class received a percentage point more than the rich. So it's not as black and white as people paint it. He took care of the rich, and that's on it.
Can we agree on this? It's basic economics. If the middle class got a little bit more of the pie that the rich got from that 14%, and we gave a little bit more to the poor, the economy would be better than it is right now. Like, the economy's decent, but it would be boom. That's just basic economics.
The economy is great. Now, COVID stopped the economy. This is not a recession from just a bad economy. So people were working. The economy was at its best. The numbers just came out the other day. You talking about a GPD of 33.1%. That's unheard of. Now it gets undermined. Real quick by the Democrat, because they're going to tell you, well, it still doesn't match up to what it was before. Of course not.
So you brought up the greatest point of this conversation, and pretty much why, and I can get with people supporting Trump for the economy because they are wealthy or they think they're wealthy. I kind of understand that logic. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. So I don't really beat people up that have businesses and they say, hey, I'm voting for my family. I do tell them, I'm like, hey, what about the little guy? Because that's the type of person I am. But you have individuals that are not in that tax bracket, that are in their mind, it's like, we're voting for our people, like, because we want to be rich and we want to be wealthy, but they're not going to attain that by voting for that individual, because that individual's plan doesn't have that person in mind. So it's politics. He's doing the same thing that other politicians. He's giving people hope that they're never going to see in this life. They might see it in the afterlife, but they're not going to see it. And for me, that's unfair.
You can absolutely see it, because I mean, it's excuse me, the black businesses are not down. People are starting their businesses, and they're trying that. Really, the success of your business, that depends on you. As long as Trump gives us a platform to work on, which he has, he's not stopping us from doing anything.
But you brought up the point, the biggest point of the conversation, which is COVID-19. Like, that's what I cannot get past. And a mangled up job, and this can't be Obama's fault. This ain't Biden's fault, because, and this is when I stopped watching CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and everything. And I'm not gonna watch any news tomorrow. I'm gonna actually be promoting this video right. The moment I stopped doing that is when I saw Joe Biden and Donald Trump debate, and they asked him one question, and you probably remember it. If you could go back, because we already know that you got caught on tape knowing about COVID, if you can go back and do something different with COVID, what would you do? Very simple question. Like, that was his moment to be like, I fucked up, or I messed up, and I would do this, and the other. He probably would have won the election. He is gonna, and remember I said this, he's gonna lose the election, because Betsy Soooo in Missouri and Mary Ann in North Carolina, in Franklin, North Carolina, they saw that. And they was cool with the racism, him grabbing by the pussies, and him being the macho man, and this high profile celebrity and billionaire, and wanting everybody to have it. But once you start to say, you know what, I wouldn't do anything different. Like, I would do the same thing. We're doing an amazing job. And that, for me, brother, is delusional. Because
he answered it right.
Why?
He answered it completely right.
Because this is why it's bad. This is why it's bad. And this is something that I can agree and disagree on. This is why it's bad. Just being a human being. As you looked on CNN, what do you see on the side of the screen? And I hate looking at it, but
you're talking about the death tolls and all that stuff.
So even if they were using that as propaganda, and they was just, whatever. Even if that's the truth, and you're looking at it, and boom, 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 it's still the reality that almost 300,000 people are dead, and I know 8 of those people.
Right.
So when Donald Trump, I don't give a fuck who's sitting up there on that podium running for president, but if they don't even acknowledge that, they lost me. They lost me. Like, you don't have the presence of mind to even acknowledge, like, this is bad.
Right. Well, so the thing about COVID is that, when he said that, because what you just explained to me is the political hoax, and that's what he said. He said this is their new hope, and people twisted that to say that he was saying the virus was a hoax. No, he was saying that it was politicized, and it is being politicized, because how do you blame any administration for a global pandemic?
No, we're not blaming them for the pandemic. We're blaming him for the response. The response is not good.
Now, if you're talking about responses, you can't say good. You can't say that he didn't respond good. You want to know why? Because what did he do? He banned flights from China immediately. Well, second to Italy. Okay,
But this
it
was
was only
3 months
Italy
after
was
he
third.
knew. But this is 3 months after he knew that the virus was deadly. We know this. This is not us debating. This is what he said.
All the experts was telling him that it was okay. Oh,
Still here, brother? Think we lost him. See? God don't like ugly, man. Come on back. Defend this Trump. Where you at? All right, we're going to take a break. I think he need to re-up on his talking points. Whew.
there was never a shortage.
So they were holding the PPE.
No, they had to have them built. So Trump negotiated with Tesla, GM, all these companies. He didn't even have to technically use the act to try to get this shit done. So, he negotiated that. Also, the experts, quote unquote, was talking about the vaccine would take 2 years. And he was like, he wasn't satisfied with that answer. I remember on TV when they said that, and Trump was like, no. He said it right then and there. Like, no, that's
but
unacceptable.
His satisfaction is not smart. It's his being unsatisfied is actually dumb when it comes to science, because you don't want to rush something and put something out there, and then 2 years from now, people are having legs grown out of their ears and shit like that. It's like, that's not smart. So everything, I'm listening to what you're saying, and you're doing an incredible job of defending your man Trump. I mean, I think he needs to hire you and cut them little biddies out down south and put you on the payroll. Everything you're saying is contradicting what's going on in reality, brother.
No. So when I say about when he was being, saying that it was unacceptable as far as the time limit, no, what he did was a very smart thing, was that he removed red tape. He let private institutes, colleges, universities, and all these people study and help. And that's what pushed the time up. That's what got the time up, because now we're talking about a year where you're talking about 3 vaccines are in stage 3. That's one step away from FDA approval. So this, when people say that he didn't respond well, like, no, that man worked.
Yeah, we're just not going to agree on this one. We're not going to come to a common ground.
What you had was a lot of politicizing. What you had was a lot of politicizing of a global pandemic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. On both sides, it's been political sides, but the fact of the matter is, people are dying. People, and this is not, as I think someone said, this is not a hoax. It's the real thing. I know, like, my grandmother had tested positive. Her whole nursing home had an old outbreak in Henderson, North Carolina. Like 25 people tested positive. We had to talk to her from a window and shit, and FaceTime for her.
A lot of
it's really real. So so that's why I don't think you and I, or the people that think the way I think, and then the people that think the way you think, are going to agree on that, because COVID, I just think he did a terrible job. Like, I don't even feed into the other stuff that he says and does, because that's not my reality. Like, I don't really care who the president is, because I'm focused on local politics and local politicians and grooming people that look like me and think like me to be in those positions. So I don't put a lot of energy into Trump, but the energy that I have put into Trump has been around COVID. And I will repeat this until I can't say it anymore. He's done a terrible job, brother, of this. The next question. No, go ahead. I'll let you get this last word.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're definitely entitled, to the opinion, but he's put the work in, and it's undeniable. I mean,
so you think he's put the work in? I don't think he's put any work in.
It's an issue of placement, where we're placing the blame. Like, really, he's not the ultimate word in a global pandemic. You're talking about the CDC, and now we're talking about their
That
guidelines
he does not
and
listen to. That he does not
their
listen to.
guidelines. No, he listens. He listens to them. You know,
He said he doesn't listen.
listening to them,
Dr. Fauci is on
when
television every day. This man ain't talked to Dr. Fauci in
yeah,
3 months.
Dr.
That's a
Fauci
long
told us.
time.
Dr. Fauci told us in March that we had nothing to worry about, and then he flipped. Like the CDC, the,
And
the contradiction. The contradiction is undeniable at this point. They
and
have
this
just
is the
come out
funny,
and said
this is
one
the
thing.
funny part. Ed, hear me out on this. And this is what all people do, not just you. You just gave me a good example of it. You say Dr. Fauci said in March that we had nothing to worry about, and now he's saying that we need to prepare for the worst. You know what that is? That's evolution. Things change in science.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just like you want us to give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt of knowing 3 months before everybody else in America and not doing a damn thing about it, and now coming around saying, "Oh, he's done a lot. He did this. He banned flights to
That's
China."
not true either, because they actually
That's evolution, isn't it? That's him
they
evolving, sitting on his ass for 3 months and then saying, "Hey, I got to do something because this shit ain't changing." That's evolution. So you have to give Dr. Fauci, the top doctor, who Donald Trump continues to say the top doctor, and we know for a fact he's the top doctor. If the top
and he
doctor,
did it every day. They did it every day. At 5 o'clock p.m. every day. There was no.
So now the top doctor is saying that the president of the United States, and I agree with you, it's just not on the president. It's a shared responsibility. It's you and I. It's people that we interact with. It's wearing masks. Going back to that, wearing masks.
There's no control of this. There's no control of this. This is global. You know, there's no that's the false illusion. That's the politicizing of the virus. There's no way that we can stop this until it really technically stops itself.
I think we're gonna look back on history, and he's gonna be known as probably the worst president in United States history. Not because of, and hear me out on this, not because of the grabbing of the pussies and the racist antics that he has and all the other opinionated stuff that comes out his mouth. He's going to go down as the worst president in United States history because of COVID. And that's not me saying that he did a great job or a bad job. It's just history's going to beat him up on COVID. All right, so we're moving past COVID. This is questions that are coming from my audience. So, is there anything that Trump would do that would make you not support him? Is there anything that's like a no-no, and Ed would be like, "Nah, I'm done with him"?
Yeah, if he was a part of the establishment, if he was bringing the same old status quo politics to the table, then I probably wouldn't be intrigued or supporting him at this point, because now I do support him, you know.
So you have no problem, you will make this clear, you have no problem with what comes out his mouth, his tweets, anything.
He's not a politician. And I've seen what, you know, the gift of gab can do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I seen a president, you know, could talk the panties off a person, but what does that mean? You know, okay. I can care less how he talks and what he talks, you know, how he talks. He's not a politician, and that's what makes me gravitate.
No, I just want to make it clear for my listeners who are trying to get into the mind of a Trump supporter. So right. You have no issue with what he is saying. Like, that does not matter to you.
No, I mean, he sticks his foot in his mouth, of course. I mean, nobody's perfect, and he sticks his foot in his mouth for sure.
Okay.
You know, but do I think he's racist? No.
Oh, good. I'm glad you brought that up. So, as I was saying before we got cut off, Trump has like a very unique type of supporting group, or supporters. And I would say, and I'll put them in kind of like 4 or 5 categories. And the first one would be the ultra rich, the billionaire club. And then you have the wannabe billionaire clubs. And I have plenty of cousins that's like, oh, I'm voting for Trump because I don't want him to go up on my taxes. But I'm like, Naker, you make $40,000 a year. Ain't nobody think about you. Trump's not there for you. And then you have
actually they the ones who got the 40,000 and up got the biggest tax break, 14.5.
Yeah, he's still broke, living in the trailer.
I mean, it's not much in the end. It's not much in the end. So,
Trump ain't thinking about him. Them little crumbs, you still living in the trailer, in a trailer park. Can't even support
in the end, the presidents don't do much. In the end, the presidents don't do much. But if deciding between the two, it's Trump by far. By far.
That's your opinion. So you got, and then I got another bucket of Trump supporters where it's just flat out country white bumpkin racist. So you have all these people in this group. And I'll put you in the group of just Black Trump supporter. I don't know how much you make, nor do I care how much you make, but I'll just put you in there, Black Trump supporter. What is your thoughts on being in the same group as a person that hates your fucking guts? Like, and not afraid to tell you that they hate your fucking guts. Like, you're not supposed to be here. You can help them win this election, but we don't want you on this earth. How does it feel to be in bed with a person like that, with people like that?
I don't know how that feels because I don't support Biden. That's not what Trump does. Trump doesn't
have a huge following of white supremacists, Ku Klux Klan, racists, you name it.
The racist people support both parties. It's just racist people in America, period. They're going to choose who they support.
Overtly racist people support Trump, and that's a fact.
Blatantly racist people support Biden. I mean, it's neither here or there with that. I mean, it's just racist people, period. It's just what it is.
We're not going to talk about Biden because you don't support Biden. We're talking about the person that you support.
Has Trump denounced it thousands of times?
Not really. Like,
not really.
Denounce
there's over 25 dates of different times. It's a montage. I shared it on my page.
Yeah, and I saw that post, but you have to be real with yourself. Let's be logical.
That's not real. That's him saying with his words, his own mouth, I denounce white supremacy. I denounce white supremacy over 25
times. But when you're originally asked, brother, when your first thought is your real thought. Everybody knows that. So when you are first asked, how do you feel about a topic? And whatever comes out your mouth, that's the authentic thought. But whatever comes after that, that is politics. It's
been the same thing. It's been the same thing. He doesn't want white supremacists supporting him. He said that over and over again. You know, so it's amazing that people carry that narrative still to this day when it's documented.
So let's try to move on because we are winding down to the hour.
All right.
Another question that we had: explain Trump's prison reform bill, and please explain Trump's tax bill. And this is somebody who's genuinely curious. I'm not sure if they're a Trump supporter, but they genuinely want to know. I can't explain it because I don't support them. And the stuff that I found is bogus. So,
and as far as the taxes, we just talked about that. I'm not a tax expert. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I am. But what I do know is numbers, and I do know that what the narrative was is that he just took care of the rich. It's not true. Like I said, the middle 40,000 to 50,000 or something like that. It was like 40,000 is the starting point. They got the biggest tax cut, which was a 10 percentage point higher than the rich, but the tax breaks was for everybody. But the narrative on CNN, is, oh, he cut taxes for the rich, and they cut it off right there. So that's what everybody repeats instead of actually looking at it. So And as far as the prison reform, you know, well, I mean, what can you say about it? It's, you know, he did it. He had it. It's not technically.
What though? That's what I'm confused. What did he do?
Well, he
I
signed
know
the
a
bill.
lot of people are still in prison.
Yeah, I mean, some people deserve to be in prison. You're not going to sit here and act like, you know, everybody is innocent that's in prison.
No, I didn't say that. But what I'm trying to figure out is what is good about Trump's plan, because I don't know.
What I know is that it got people that were, you know, that shouldn't have been in jail out of jail, and many of people have come out and have personally, you know, thanked him about it. You know, and you've seen the results of it.
I would definitely have to do my research, because I haven't heard anyone that Trump.
I mean, they had whole live events. Yeah, they had live events. I mean, it was specifically for people that look like you. I mean, the people that I'm talking about look like us.
Yeah, so if I can find that information, I'll definitely post it. Because I like to give credit where credit is due, but I have personally not seen Trump do a single thing for a Black person that looks like me. And that's just my life. So last but not least, I want to know, what is a perfect America? Because we keep saying make America great again. I'm 38 years old, and America's never been great for me. And that's with the first Black president, any other president, vice president, it doesn't matter. America's never been great for a Black person. So when I see Trump supporters talk to make America great again, for me, and it's mostly white people, when I see that and I hear that, that's saying I want to go back to white supremacy. Status quo. And I'm going to continue to think that way until someone says that's not what they're saying. Right. Because so no one has come out and says, that's not what we mean. And I don't want you to defend that.
They have. And the fact about it is they really shouldn't have to. That's your perspective that you came to that conclusion.
But if we want to understand it, but if we, hear me out, brother. Hear me out. If we want an understanding of each other, and I ask you, what does make America great again mean to you?
Economy.
And you say, I want to go back to way things used to be. And I'm like,
economics.
What? But when, that's what I'm trying to figure out. When has economics been good for you and I? People that look like you and I. When was that?
Well, technically, I mean, if you want to,
1921.
If you want to,
1921.
No,
that's when it was good for us. And guess what? A group of white people took that from us. We still ain't got that.
See, I can't stand by that, because that's giving them too much power. You think there was one Black Wall Street? It was Black Wall Streets in every city.
It was a lot of Black Wall Streets. That's my point. And they took us down.
Adversity, they tore it down, but we should have built it back up. We should have built it back up.
How?
That's some accountability.
Brother,
how?
I'm gonna take a pause for this.
Yeah.
How in the hell can somebody build back something when someone has destroyed everything, killed your family, and all you got is yourself? How you gonna build back up? And that's why I think it's frustrating for people.
You can build back up. It's not going to be easy.
But
it's not going to be easy.
Do you hear yourself?
Yeah,
listen to yourself.
I'm not going to sound defeated.
Black people, I'm not saying sound defeated, because Black people are the most resilient pieces of a specimen on this earth.
Exactly.
We are more than resilient.
Exactly.
We have to find a new word.
We should act as if that is that. So if somebody
listen to yourself.
Tears down my house,
hold on. Let me finish.
Tears down my house, that's not the end of my life and me living in a house. If somebody comes burn my house down right now, you know what? Temporarily, I'm gonna be messed up, but I'm gonna have me another home. Period. And that's how we should carry it as far as politics. That's how we should carry it as far
listen to yourself. You got to be logic with yourself. 1921, we built things up from the ground up, which was extremely. Hold on, let me finish. I'll let you talk, brother.
Good.
Extremely difficult to do now. In this today's society, it's extremely hard to do, but we did it in 1921, Oklahoma. My ancestors, because that's where I'm originally from, Lawton, Oklahoma. brother, they destroyed the town. They burned it to a crisp. Records, paintings, assets, all burnt down. So you cannot sit up here and say you will be living in a house. You living in a 3-family house and it burns down to the ground. Your paintings, everything your mothers and fathers left you is gone.
Yeah.
Yes, you might not be defeated. You might get up and rebuild, but you ain't gonna get up the next morning and be like, yes, I am black and I am gonna get this back.
No.
So you gotta be real with yourself.
Like I said, you will feel it. And it's a crush. I mean, not a crush. It's definitely a obstacle, a roadblock. It's something
that's a huge obstacle. It's not you talk as if it's a pebble. It's like we talking
about when you're talking about where we can go as Black people, there's nothing stopping us from doing that. And that's my point.
So that leads me to my next question. Yeah. What makes America great? What does it look like for making America great again?
When we could stop listening to the Democrats push a racist narrative.
We stop listening to the Democrats, then what?
Stop pushing a racist narrative and live like we
But racism is real. That's not debatable.
It's real, but it used to be a time in our lives where it was in its own little box and we recognized that racism is real. And we went
when it came out of that box.
And I got white friends and I got Indian friends. I got all kind of friends, you know.
And guess when racism came out of that box?
It's always going to be some type of racism.
Yeah, but racism. I say that in my 9 to 5 every day. I said we're not going to end racism, but guess what we can do?
Yeah, but guess what we can do? Where we're going wrong is where we're going wrong is we're consuming ourselves with it. We're consuming ourselves with it, and now it makes us hyper-vigilant about everything. Like when you say "Make America Great Again," you think, not you, but generally, you know, they think, oh well, when is it great for Black people? No, he just wants the economy to boom. He just wants the economy to boom. This is a time where you are included. Like Killer Mike said, you's already free, nigga. Now act like it.
Exactly. Killer Mike is somebody you should be listening to.
Included. We are included in I'm a huge fan of Killer Mike. We are included. We are included. This is 2020. We are included.
So,
and people can get it.
Your idea of making America great again is the economy. That's what you're gonna hold it on.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. All right. That's your final thought.
It's never been about race. It's never been about.
So to my audience, because we got to wrap it up. Ed has said it's all about the economy. It's all about money. For me, it's about making sure that everything is balanced. So this is where me and Ed disagree. I will make the prediction that Donald Trump will lose. I will make another prediction that he will be the worst president in United States history, not because of the racist stuff, because of COVID. And I think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to do a better job than a lot of people think, including myself. What I do think Biden's going to do is going to be a LBJ. Because, and when people bring up Biden's past, with the Supreme Court, the crime bill, all that other stuff, my comeback or my rebut would be Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson, and the reason why I compare, because Lyndon Johnson probably was the most racist president in the White House. Like he said the N-word in the White House on record more than any politician. However, before I get to that, however, he also, and this is a lot of people don't know, LBJ invented the projects, the housing projects in Texas. The first housing projects was in Texas, and it was made for white veterans, actually. And LBJ, he invented that. So I say Biden's going to be a LBJ because LBJ invented the projects, and then fast forward to JFK getting assassinated and LBJ being the president. This man, we don't know if he wanted to do it, but he did it.
He had to do it.
He had to do it. He did.
Right. So
bill, the 1968 Fair Housing Act. So bear with me, guys, and I understand if you're not into politics, this might be exciting to you. But what I'm trying to do is paint a picture. The man who invented the projects. Hold on. If you ever can get your hand on this book right here, The Color of Law, it'll tell you a lot. This man, Lyndon Baines Johnson, invented the projects. What you living in now, what some of us are living in now, he invented. He also fixed it. He created the problem and then he fixed it with the 1968 Fair Housing Act. So I'm predicting that Biden is going to do the same thing. He didn't invent the crime bill, but he co-signed it and helped co-write it and then ushered it and made some mistakes.
He wrote it. Yeah.
Co-wrote it. He co-wrote it. But either way, I do think he's going to right his wrongs. He's going to do a better job in bringing the country together, because that's my biggest problem, brother. Like, I don't have a problem with you voting for Trump or supporting Trump. I do think it's a little weird. I'm just being honest. I think it's weird.
No, it's cool.
But I don't have an issue. What I do have an issue is when people that look like you and I are hurting and suffering, and they're telling you, bro, what you're saying is hurting my feelings. What you're saying is just not.
Screw your feelings.
I get that.
That's the
and
problem.
that's what I'm trying. And that's what I guess I'm trying to get you to understand. Like, yeah, you can screw your feelings, and a lot of people take that angle, but that hasn't gotten us anywhere. This last 4 years has been
having
the worst.
Having feelings is what's keeping us back. Having feelings.
So?
What we need to do is take the emotion out of it. Now, you feel your way, you think Biden would do better, but Biden's record does not indicate that at all. Doesn't indicate that at all. And the fact of the matter is, you're talking about 47 years of time. And Trump has had 4 years, 3 years and some change, almost 4 years.
And it's been the worst 4 years of your life.
Done more, documented. It's no denying.
You say he's done more?
Yes, documented.
All right.
Documented. There's no denying that. So
I guess. So I really want to understand, when Biden wins, are you going to?
He gonna win Florida?
What's next for you? When Biden wins, you do what?
Biden's gonna win Florida, Texas.
When he wins,
Georgia.
What are you gonna do? Like, when he wins, what are you gonna do? What's next for you?
I'm gonna continue to follow politics and honestly.
You said continue to do what with politics?
Follow it. And continue. It's not that I just jumped into it because of Trump. Trump is just the most the one I like the most. That's fine.
All right. And who are you supporting locally? Because that's what's more important to me. Who are you supporting locally? Because Trump, I always say this, I don't care who the president is, I'm going to thrive regardless. But I also know that family and friends don't have the same work ethic, same mind frame that I have. So I'm not disagreeing with you that we need to take emotions out of it.
Yeah.
But that's me. I can be cold and I can be like, why are you crying? Like, why is this so serious to you? I can put that to the side, but the masses, they can't do that, brother. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get you to understand, because I don't want you to agree with me. I want you to get to an understanding where sometimes you can say something that can damage somebody's mental, and it might be politics to you, and it may be how you feel, and you can deal with certain things. You can take certain things and other people can't. So I just want you to keep that in mind. It's people that's watching you that respect you. It's people that's watching you that love you. I know your family loves you. Just think about what comes out your mouth. Not saying don't say it, just say it in a different way where people can receive it. Because I get it. I got exactly what you said when you was like, you got to take emotions out.
You got to. I mean,
I say that to my family all the time.
We've had Malcolm X told us this. Like, this is not This is not some radical thought that I'm bringing up to the table. No, this is what our leaders, our leaders who really want us as a people to get ahead in life. This is their
that's what I
strategy.
want. That's the purpose of having this conversation.
This is their strategy, and I agree with it. You know what I'm
I
saying?
want us to get ahead, but I do not think it's through the Trump campaign or administration that we're going to get ahead, brother. I just don't think it. So
we will. Because
so this is a to be continued conversation.
Yeah.
This is a to be continued conversation because we're wrapping up our hour, and right now, as we speak, the numbers are coming in. So a lot of what we're saying might not even make a difference.
And speaking, yeah, you're right. Because speaking on those numbers from what we see so far, we see so far it's down.
But look, I don't do polls because Hillary Clinton was up in the polls.
She was up by 13% going into election night. Tonight, 4 years ago, she was up 13% in the polls.
Yeah. Thank you, Love Village, for joining us for this very, very, very interesting conversation with Trump supporters, Black Trump supporters. As I said earlier, my advice to you, no matter what, is stay engaged, stay involved in your local elections, because tonight is just one night. You still have local elections, you still have local politicians that have a little more say-so in your day-to-day lives. So make sure you get to know your city councilors, your mayors, your city managers, your sheriffs, your DAs. Get to know all those individuals on a first name basis and make sure they know you and know that you're involved, because that's how true change happens. So to my Trump supporters, especially my Trump Black supporters, I don't agree with you, and I don't think we'll ever agree, so to say. However, I do understand how you guys can want to continue to thrive in business and line your pockets. But I also have to say that's kind of selfish. So those are my thoughts. And thank you for joining Curating Black Thoughts podcast. And this episode has been Black Trump supporters. What's good?